Welcome to the Positively No Gambling Podcast, the pro football show that is definitely not about betting. My name is Glenn Fraser. It is Sunday, August 17th, and this is the 2025 team preview for the Las Vegas Raiders. Super fun one. Format, two big questions from the start of the offseason. We'll recap 2024, preview 2025, look at some stats, some trends, some ATS leans, conclude on the two big questions, and give out a preliminary over-under pick for the season total in wins. The final over-unders will be part of the conference previews, which will be posted right before the season starts. Okay, the two big questions for the Raiders. And these two guys, these two gentlemen sum up the Raiders offseason. Question number one, can they overhaul this entire team? Because this was a disaster last year. And did they finally address quarterback? Spoiler alert, I think they did. I think they did. But let's get into the details. To recap, a terrible 2024. They were 4-13, last in the AFC West, missed the playoffs, fired their coach, got rid of their quarterback. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong with the Raiders last year. Interesting because they started off decent. They had this crazy win against Baltimore, in which they looked incredible. I bet that game and was really not happy with how Baltimore looked and was terrified of the Raiders' pass rush. They lost that game against Carolina after Carolina benched Bryce Young. They bounced back and beat a really shitty Browns team, but then they just went on a slide. They lost their next 10, bunch of playoff teams here. They finished 2-1, but big deal, right? You beat the Jaguars and the Saints, who cares? They were 1-9 against playoff teams, with that only one win coming against the Ravens. They had a brutal schedule. That division was tough. It was an unlucky schedule. A lot of the teams that they played ended up outperforming their preseason expectations, including Denver, including Baltimore, even though they beat them, including the Chargers, uh, as well as the Chiefs, who ended up winning 15 games. They technically underachieved, not that it matters. They had that Kansas City game on the day after Thanksgiving, which was just a crazy way to lose. But that could account for the one, quote, underachieved win. 3-4 in one score games, which is wild because they lost 13 games. So they had a lot of blowouts last year. One of the league's worst teams. And like we said, they have just completely overhauled this team. New QB, new running back, new coach, new GM, new everything. With that said, let's look at the offense going into 2025. They lost some guys, but honestly, nobody that you would be sad to lose. Alexander Madison went over to Miami. He'll be a rotational guy there. Amir Abdullah, DJ Turner, they're both still free agents. Gardner Minshew went over to Kansas City to back up Mahomes. Beyond that, nothing else of note. Now, what they added, they traded for Geno Smith. They drafted Ashton Jeanty in the first round. They drafted Jack Betch, wide receiver. They added Alex Kappa from Cincinnati to play guard. They got Raheem Mostert coming over from Miami. A couple of other rotational tackles that they got from the draft. They went heavy with receivers and quarterbacks and running backs in the draft. So this is a brand new offense. Blue chips, Brock Bowers is already either the best tight end in the league or top three. So he's without a doubt a blue chipper. High potential, Colton Miller, their tackle is pretty damn good. Their guard, Jordan Meredith, even though he might start, he might not start, he's highly graded. And Ashton Jeanty has to be considered high potential. He may win the rushing title in year one. The X factor is going to be Geno. Well, people love Geno. He's a stat nerd's dream quarterback. Obviously has his limitations, but he is a major, major upgrade over what they had last year. And it can't be a make or break for anybody because this is a brand new offense with a bunch of new guys run by Chip Kelly, um, with Pete Carroll obviously taking over the team. So this is where anybody who's a Raider fan going into this year and a proponent of the Raiders being a sneaky playoff team, they're going to cite this offense and all of the turnover and all of the changes for the positive. And they have a point. This looks like a real offense. This looks like a maybe even a dangerous offense, a team that can outscore a lot of teams in the NFL. Now, the defense. This is wild. All the people that have come in, all the people who have left. Christian Wilkins is the latest. He has been released. That is breaking news as we record this. He was a good player, and losing him, obviously, it seemed like they wanted to move on given the circumstances, but losing him is a big deal. Trayvon Moehrig, they lost safety, went to Carolina. Nate Hobbs to Green Bay. Spillane, he was sort of a splashy signing for New England. That's a kind of a big deal. Devon Diablo went to Atlanta. John Jenkins nose tackle to Baltimore, and then you're talking edges, you're talking rotational guys. In terms of who they added, I mean, they've added one, two, three, four projected starters, plus some backups, plus some rotational guys in the draft, and let's name them. Jeremy Chin coming over from Washington. I like him. People don't love Chin, but I like him. Landon Roberts to play the Mike linebacker. Jermaine Pratt as a off-ball linebacker. Um, Eric Stokes coming over from Green Bay. And then Jamal Adams, they just signed. He's definitely past his prime, but still can offer a little bit of support in the secondary. Some other guys that they signed, Devin White, drafted Tonka Hemingway, Cody Lindenberg, sorry, and Darian Porter. So bunch of guys, bunch of names. What is it going to amount to? Let's get into that. Blue Chippers, without a doubt, Max Crosby, one of the best edge rushers in football. High potential, Malcolm Koonce, who they re-signed. That was a underrated re-signing, as was Adam Butler. He's a lot better than people give him credit for. He's a good D tackle. I like that they kept him, along with Landon Roberts, who they signed from Pittsburgh. So those are the sort of high potential, not exactly blue chippers, but definitely talented guys. The X factor, I think, is Malcolm Koonce. If he can prove to be a effective pass rusher to go along with Max Crosby, boy, there were a couple of games last year where they looked deadly from the pass rush. And if he can be that second pass rusher on the line to go along with Max Crosby, they could really be looking at an effective defense. Make or break. I mean, everything you could talk about Crosby, you could talk about Koonce, you could talk about Butler, Pratt, all these guys until you're blue in the face, but everybody will tell you it doesn't matter because this is the worst secondary in football, and they kind of have a point. Bennett is a risk. Stokes is probably not a starter. Jamal Adams is way past his prime. Jeremy Chin, even if he's a good safety, will it matter? This is where the risk lies in this defense. And I see the point. I could see it being a real issue. Now, the counter argument, or at least a but, is the fact that they play in the AFC West, and the Chiefs, Denver, the Chargers, do they have guys that will burn you down the field, down the sidelines? Do they have real wide receiver ones? No. So maybe it won't matter as much. But with that said, let's look at their schedule. It's kind of a middle of the pack schedule, which is kind of expected, being that they were a fourth place team. Very similar to Kansas City. They've got a very easy, well, I guess this is the opposite of Kansas City, right? Kansas City has a very difficult home schedule and a very easy road schedule. The Raiders are kind of the opposite. They've got a quite easy home schedule and a very difficult road schedule. At home, outside of their division, they've got the Bears, who are a fourth place team, the Titans, who are a fourth place team, the Jaguars, who do not travel well, the Cowboys, who are not expected to be great this year, the Browns, who are a fourth place team, the Giants, who are a fourth place team. Those are all winnable. I mean, honestly, they match up well against all of those teams. On the road, they start off in New England, week 3 in Washington. That's brutal. Week 14 and 15 in Philly, in Houston. That is tough. Obviously, all the road games in division are tough. They're all playoff teams. Um, Now, what's interesting about the Raiders is they are better than average against the spread at home. So this easy home schedule is a real opportunity for them to rack up the type of wins that you need to threaten to be a playoff team. One other note, some of these fourth place teams got bad breaks. They seem to have gotten good breaks by playing the Bears, Pats, and Browns. I get that some people are high on the Bears, some are high on the Patriots. Nobody seems to be high on the Browns. But when it comes to some of the alternatives, I think it's a pretty good break. Which brings us into the some of the stats and the against the spread leans for 25. So they underachieved, but who cares? Because their Pythagorean wins were only 5.3. It's not like this was a borderline playoff team. Close games, they were 3-4. Not atrocious, but not great either. Turnover differential. They gave away 10 more fumbles than they recovered. That's going to revert in favor in their direction. That'll get back to, you would think, even in 2025. That is not sustainable. So that's a good sign. 2023 to 2024, even though they weren't very good in 2023, they lost 4 more games in 24 than 23. That's a good sign for reverting back towards the mean. Their strength of schedule was brutal last year. It looks to be more average this year. We just looked at their splits between home and road, and their 2024 schedule luck was towards the bottom of the league. Very unlucky schedule. People thought that division would be good. I don't think they thought it would be 3 playoff teams good. So that accounted for some of that bad luck. I think their O line is good. I think their D line's good. They've got building blocks and they've added so much to their offense, which brings us to some of the early leans. I like them week 6 against the Titans. They're only a 3-point favorite. I like them week 12 against the Browns. They're only a 3.5-point favorite. And I like them in week 14 against the Broncos, in which they are a 3.5-point dog. I mean, no respect. I would consider almost every home game, and I'm being serious about that, but I would stay away from almost every road game or just straight up bet against them because it's a tough schedule and they don't perform as well on the road. There are a lot of indicators of positive regression here, and it's probably the team that benefits the most from that new coach and quarterback combination, considering how bad the quarterback play was last year and how bad the coaching was last year. They replace bottom 5 quarterback, bottom 1 quarterback, to be honest with you, with a top 10, 12, 15 quarterback in Geno Smith, and they replace the worst coach in the league with Pete Carroll, who's got a Super Bowl and has basically always wins and always goes to the playoffs, with a couple of exceptions, obviously. But that's when you support Vegas this year, you're supporting them because of those changes. Which brings us to the conclusion. I think they did overhaul this team enough, and I do think that they have their quarterback. Uh, I'm gonna go over 7.5. I think they're winning 8, 9, maybe 10 wins. They're probably worth making the betting to just make the playoffs. If you like them, maybe just bet that and forget the over. It's plus 320 right now. The signs point towards positive regression and that they will improve and get closer to that 8, 9 win range. But it's still the Raiders and it's still the AFC West. It's a very talented division. Every single coach has either won the Super Bowl or gone to a Super Bowl. Every single quarterback is at least league average or better. You still got to play Mahomes twice. You got to play that Denver defense twice. You got to play Harbaugh twice. It's going to be tough. They had a lot of bad luck last season. Is this the year that luck reverses? One thing to consider, very similar to the Patriots, if you're going to go with an over, they've got to double their win total from last year. It's not easy to double your win total. Even if the starting point was only 4 games, they'll have to win 4 more this year. And that's always a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. I'm going to gamble and take the over with the Raiders. All right. So that was a super fun one. Join us tomorrow when we preview the. It's got to be one of the LA teams, right? Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to stay in the AFC West and preview the Chargers tomorrow. Thanks and have a good one.